Welcome to Steele and Vance on what is a day that we start with a moment of real reflection.
Yeah, because we're honoring the men and women of this country who's fought for us, and it is the 80th anniversary of D-Day. I want to show you just a little snippet of video. Our Prime Minister and other dignitaries were in France for this ceremony, and Volodymyr Zelensky, I'm getting chills.
I know, right? I'm like, lean in, listen.
Look at this.
You're the savior of the people. Here's my eyes. Not a picture.
This veteran basically said to the Ukrainian president that you saved Europe. And he said, no, you did. And it was just such a moment that I still have like goosebumps everywhere, because when you think about it, and I want to show you another picture. Well, let's look at the historic photo.
One. This photo, I mean, so hundreds of Canadians were first on the beach at Normandy, okay? Like that is something that this country, we can talk about all of the allies and all of the importance of our veterans worldwide who fought for democracy, fought for our freedom. 80 years ago today, again, the goosebumps come into play, right? But the Canadians who were integral, like climbing up a cliff with Germans waiting to shoot them down.
I mean, it's unbelievable, the courage that these are very young men, and it's amazing that we have veterans still alive. But check out this photo today of a veteran paying respect to fallen comrades. And you know, Jody, I've been doing a lot of thinking lately about the peril that democracy is in at this moment. And I have seen a documentary just recently about some of these vets in their hundreds who have said they're kind of pissed off at the rest of us for tossing this away, that they've fought for the right, for our freedom, and we're just sort of pissing it away and
allowing it to become.
Well, the Americans are anyway.
But it's spreading around the world.
Yeah.
The intolerance and the divisiveness and the my camp or your camp.
Yeah.
Because democracy is about this. The evil wins when we're torn apart is the message here. So take a moment, think about it. If you don't know what we're talking about, you should Google it.
Yeah,
that should land on your kitchen table. Let's land some food on some kitchen tables
Okay, so
today.
the good news is we're giving away a gift certificate tonight, and it is from the CHEK.
Yes.
And so it's $100, and all you have to do, you know the drill, send us your photo, tell us where you're watching from viewing party at czechmedia.ca.
Yes.
And we have a lot of stuff on the show today.
We do. Oh my goodness, Rob Shaw is going to be here because Eleanor Sturko, one of the superstars of the BC United Party, crossed the aisle to the BC Conservatives.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people saying, oh my goodness, this party is on life support, and their implications are huge. And yeah, there's a lot of time between now and October, but Rob Shaw is going to break that down for us. Also, a lot of people were kind of shocked when they saw that notorious serial killer Robert Pickton had been killed. He had been attacked in jail, was on life support, and then died. And a lot of people are saying he took secrets to the grave. There have been inquiries into how to prevent this, and what about the police response and the missing women and the lack of respect. So Wally Opal, who led both of those inquiries, he is going to join us on the show today as well.
63 recommendations. How many of them were implemented?
Yeah.
What mistakes are we still making? We're going to talk about all of that. We also have a story of inspiration. Former Humboldt Bronco Ryan Strasnitsky is our guest. We talk so much about people with disabilities traveling and not being able to take a plane and da-da-da. This is a feel-good story, right? Inspirational.
Which is great because it's adventure travel and anybody can do it. And if you're dealing with a disability, you can do it too.
That's right.
So that's exciting.
I'm Ryan Strasnitsky. I'm a former Humboldt Bronco. I'm on a mission to showcase the accessible adventures we can have in Alberta.
See? Told ya. It's so cool. You want to stay tuned for that. That's coming up on Steele and Vance. Right now, though, we got to get to our hot headlines.
Oh boy, so we talk a lot on this show about the opioid crisis and what to do about people who are severely addicted to opioids, and the BC government has just hired an addictions, I don't know what you call him, a scientific advisor, and he is going to be in charge. Does not necessarily agree with Dr. Bonnie Henry on some things around safe supply, and neither does the Premier on this one issue. So that's interesting.
He's Dr. Vigo. You're going to hear his name a lot. He's specific to psychiatry. He is very specific to the people on the downtown east side, the people who are re-traumatized and perhaps have brain injuries from their addiction issues, have been using synthetic drugs. Some people who perhaps have been to emergency 180 times in a year. The people that really need immediate support. That safer supply didn't help.
And
right?
it's such a huge problem, as we know, and multiple levels of government, stripes of government have not been able to sort it out.
Right.
And now we're learning that, in fact, there are detox beds right across the province of BC that are sitting empty. Why? Because we do not have enough people who are addiction specialists, nurses, and doctors to treat them.
Right,
So
we love the
they're
headline.
scrambling.
We love the headline. 200 more beds. Well, 200 more empty beds.
Yeah,
Because we
so
don't have the people, the
that's a
frontline
problem.
healthcare workers, right? I do love this one headline about the dump trucks, because how many overpasses have been hit in this season of stealing vans?
Yeah, well,
We've
now
lost
they're
count.
saying you've got to have a new device so
Good.
that it'll warn you if your back of your truck is up.
Come on.
And I don't know how people can't tell anyway. Doesn't there wind drag when the whole back is up and smash into the overpass?
Would you notice if the back hatch of your car was open while driving? I think you would.
If I
What
was
is
behind you,
the
I'd be going, wah,
Yeah.
wah, 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 you dummy.
This is a big
Anyway.
one too. The new border rules coming into effect. If you have a dog, you know I'm the crazy dog lady. This is going to really impact Point Roberts a lot, because people would just zip across the border with their dog. I remember when we had to have a rabies certificate for our family dog, and what a pain that was to show it every time. Now you have to go have an assessment done
Every month.
for $200.
Oh, the vets are going to be going ching, ching, right?
It's
like
a
as if they're
huge pain in the
Yeah.
butt.
Here's another one that you want to weigh in on.
Yes,
and
I do.
that's Kit's Pool, which is Jody's favorite outdoor pool.
I love it.
Is not opening this summer because it is just, I don't know.
It's leaking water.
Infrastructure has.
It's leaking water, so they say because it's filled, it's
Yeah.
cleaned, it's painted, it's filled, it's everything, but they can't get the chemical balance right. I'm so upset about this pool. There's going to be an entire generation of kids that didn't learn how to swim at that jewel of our city.
Yeah.
It is a fail. This is a great example of why the park board and the city, because they're pointing at each other, we don't need both. Someone's responsible for this.
It's a circular
terrible.
firing squad.
Yes.
Okay,
terrible.
listen, here's the other thing that's good news, and that the Bank of Canada has finally cut interest rates by 0.25%, but pundits and people who are economic experts are saying they are expecting potentially us.
We're not.
experts,
I'm like, not us. But
there are they're expecting up to 8 little cuts over
Right.
the next year and some.
0.25% at a time.
So it's not going to make
take
a
it.
huge difference right away, that 0.25%, but we're going in the right direction. It's the first time in 4 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it has been.
Bring it on.
So stressful for so many people that maybe everybody can start traveling again. If you want to maybe
If you want to fly on WestJet and not bring
not
any
take a
luggage.
bag and sit in the back of the plane and not, we could travel together and not sit together.
It's the new ultra basic fare, and here's the deal: you cannot bring carry-on.
Anything.
You can bring something that stuffs under the front, like a purse or whatever.
Right.
But you
Great.
can't bring a wheeled-on suitcase. You have to go to the back of the bus. You can't book your seat, and you can't use points. And I'm thinking, I can't think of any circumstance that would work for me.
No,
Would it work for you?
no.
Like, maybe you could wear all your clothes and sit there and sweat to death in your seat. But I mean, I don't know.
I'm envisioning you going to Maui wearing all of your, I'm here.
3
I'm
bathing
going to
suits
steal it
and
like
whatever.
a check-in.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay,
No.
let's look at some
Crazy
weather video.
This is
Alberta.
nuts.
There's been a lot of crazy weather everywhere, but check
look at this.
out that. It is actually a tornado.
Looks
It's a
like the-
supercell tornado. They at first thought it was a water spout. It's not.
Looks like the Wizard of Oz.
I know.
It's crazy.
Right?
Dorothy!
Okay, this is even crazier. This is in China, and it was very windy. Check this out. Let's listen in. Watch the person coming on the right of your screen.
Try not to laugh here. It's not funny. It's not funny.
Like, that's bizarre.
scary.
How
It's
windy
so
is
funny.
that? Those things have like
Yeah.
sand kind of holding the base
Yeah.
down, right? And then there's a dude who's probably weighs 125 pounds or whatever, probably more than
Doing
that.
30 kilometers an hour on his umbrella from the patio. Oh my gosh. Okay. And who's going to the Stanley Cup?
Oilers going to the
Final?
Stanley Cup, and
Who's
I
going to
know,
the
whatever,
Stanley-
I'm not going to gloat about it, but I love this picture because down in the left-hand corner, that is Corey Perry, the oldest Oiler at 39, bear hugging the youngest Oiler at 22 years old, Dylan Holloway. And there's Knobloch going, whoa, the coach.
Can't
and he
believe
is
it.
like Mr. Accountant, never shows emotion.
Right. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Oilers start this Saturday. So if you're watching on Sunday, sorry you missed game 1. It was yesterday.
Yeah.
Wrexham, you want to be? Did you watch Welcome to Wrexham?
I have not, but I'm
you
going
have
to,
to.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, you'll love it.
Yeah.
It's not what you think going. It's like real life Ted Lasso with Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. We love
And
Rob
guess who's coming to
McElhenney.
town?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, they're coming to town. We could be part of the documentary because
Right?
it's still going on. So I love this headline. Read it.
Pucker up, babies. Ryan Reynolds and Wrexham are ready to visit Vancouver, and they're going to be playing like an exhibition game with the Whitecaps.
With the Whitecaps.
Which is good because the Whitecaps fans are kind of disappointed these days.
Right, we need a little something to inject some fun into our lives because we're still not over the Messi problem.
Which is why a fan is going, you know what, I'm suing. He's starting a class action in this bait and switch for fans who paid a ton of money to buy tickets and hotels and meals and blah, 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 to see Messi and the other stars. And then at the last minute they went, oh yeah, they're not coming. And so they were going, yeah, okay, I want my money back. And I don't blame them.
I don't blame them at all.
Yeah.
It was a big blunder. And the only way to learn from that lesson is consequences. So there we go.
I can't believe we got through all that. I thought we were not going to.
Well done.
More to come.
All right, up next, what's happening?
Another high-profile defection to the BC Conservatives. Is the BC United Party on life support? CHEK's political correspondent Rob Shaw joins us after the break.
But first, it's viewing party time, people. Who made the cut this week? Barbara and Saanich, you're in.
We have Julie in Saanich, double Saanich Day.
I love this. And Marion in Sydney.
And we also have Shannon in Langley. Thank you for the photos and thank you for telling us where you live.
We love it. Send them in. viewingparty@chekmedia.ca. Just take a picture of you watching us right now. And again, where you're watching us from, viewingparty@chekmedia.ca. It's brought to you by the BCRFA.